Welcome to another episode of the Happy Friday Committee, Happy Friday Committee Mindset. Today we have a special guest coming on today, Coach Cedric Dickerson, or as he's better known as Coach D. He is a high school coach, and I asked him on here for several reasons. One being this the beginning of football season. so with that, I wanted to get his opinion and his perspective on the Happy Friday Committee mindset. And I wanted to frame this in the sense of football being related to life. Because a lot of things that you experience on the football field, you can actually also compare that to life and life experiences. So I want to run the Happy Friday Committee mindset in terms of being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful. And I want to start first with the word fearless, and we'll work our way down. But first, let's start off with fearless. What does fearless mean to you, and how can you relate that to being on the football field?
I would say that, being fearless, first and foremost for me, just the way I was raised is just, I don't believe in fear. You know what I mean? I don't believe that God brings about the spirit of fear. You know what I mean? I think that it's all about what you make it. You know what I mean? When I think about football, you can have respect, but not fear. And that's something that I preach to my kids constantly is we respect our opponent, but we don't fear our opponent.
Yes,
And
sir.
I just think that fear is crippling.
Yes,
When
sir.
you're someone and everything that you do is based upon fear, it can leave you in a crippled state. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are so fearful that they don't achieve many things that maybe that God or life, whatever, because they're scared. They're in fear. So to me, I've just never been a believer of living a life of fear.
Excellent, excellent. The next question and or next principle is being resilient, bouncing back. What does that mean to you?
I mean, to me, that's life. At
Yes, sir.
some point, everyone will experience hardships. Everyone will have ups. Everybody will have downs, and it's all about how you respond. And
Yes, sir.
again, that's something to teach in sports. Sometimes you look at the scoreboard, you're down,
Yes,
but
sir.
then when you're down, you're faced with choices. Are you resilient? Do you get up? Do you fight? Do you pull things together and find a way to get the job done, or to win the game, or do you lay down?
Yes, sir.
To me, resilient, you respond. You're
Yeah.
responding to adversity. In life, that's the game of life. At some point, we all face that adversity, and how you respond to me is what reveals your true character. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, character is sometimes what you do when no one else is around. You know what I mean? How do you respond? So to me, I always want our kids and my players to be resilient. You have to have a never give up attitude. No matter what happens, I'm gonna get myself up off the ground. I'm gonna fight, claw, scratch, to make sure that I'm successful. And that you can apply that to life, you can apply that to a game, you can apply that to anything.
Excellent. Absolutely. The next principle is being intuitive, using your intuition. What does that mean to you?
To me, is the intuition is something you feel. You know what I mean? When I think about obviously, we all have mothers. Sometimes a mother she can just feel when something's not right. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that I think God gives us all. Sometimes you get put in certain situations, and there's something in the back of your mind saying, "I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing these things, or I need to be here. These are the things I should be doing." And I think that's the intuition. It's kind of like again, it's just like to me the spirit, you know what I mean, that's placed upon us that that kind of it tries to lead and direct us to the path of where we need to be. You know what I mean? And it's kind of what guides us, corrects us, uh, puts us in place. You know what I mean? For me, I rely on my intuition. If something deep down doesn't feel right, I'm not dealing with it. I'm always a person that say go with your gut. And I tell my players, we're kind of relating this to sports, that, sometimes you have to just go with your gut. Something doesn't feel right, that means it's probably not right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. The next principle is determination. Relating that to being on the field in life, how do you stay determined and perceiving your goal and winning the game?
Being determined, to me, it's hunger. Being hunger. If you're someone who's not determined, that means you're content to where you are. And I was told a long time ago by a coach, if you're content with where you are in life, there's nothing else to do but die. You've achieved everything. You've done everything that you've ever set out to do.
Wow.
But as long as you're determined, that means you have something that you're striving for. You're trying to get something. And I tell my kids, again, every day in regards to a sport, when you come out here, give a determined effort, and understand the value of what you're trying to get out of this game or out of today's practice. It's a mindset. And I just think that sometimes if you're not determined, the opposite of that is you're just somebody who's content. And that's how I want to live my life. That's not how I encourage friends, family, my daughter. You should always strive for more. You should never be content. You should always be determined, to further yourself, to better yourself.
Excellent. The next principle is being appreciative. After you win the game, how do you show appreciation and how do you give back and showing that you're thankful?
Again, for me, when I think about appreciation, I think that everything that we're about comes from God. You know what I mean? We have to understand that there's a higher power source, that we all tap into, that, again, there's have and there's have nots. So that's something I learned early on in life, that, everything is not given. So what you do have or what you do earn, you have to understand and have a level of appreciation for it, because if you don't appreciate it, it means nothing to you. You know what I mean? It's especially in regards to a game. When you know the work you put in, the lifting the weights, the early mornings, the practices, being out there in the hot sun, when you gain victory, you're appreciative of that because you understood what it took to get to that point. Yes. And sometimes when we're just handed certain things, we're not as appreciative because we never did the leg work. We didn't have to do the groundwork, the hard work to obtain it, And I look at it sometimes, growing up, me moving from Alabama to Georgia, not having a whole bunch, you know what I'm saying? As far as when I left Alabama, coming to Georgia, as crazy as it sounds, Georgia had so much more for me that I feel like could better me as a person, better me as an athlete and everything like that. But there's still some people who just don't take advantage of that, or they don't appreciate what they have because they've never seen the flip side of it, of seeing someone who's without.
Yes, sir.
And I think of being appreciative is everything, because just as quick as you obtain something, it can disappear.
Wow. That's very profound. The next and last principle is being youthful. What does that mean to you? Remaining in your youth, enjoying the game in life and on the field.
Yeah, I mean, definitely being youthful. The one advantage I think that I may have over most people in their professions is that I'm dealing with young people every single day. Every single day. So obviously the things that we grew up on are a little bit different now with this younger generation. So they kind of keep me hip on a lot of different things. But to me, it also keeps me young in spirit, man. It keeps me going. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because again, no one wants, I know when we were younger, man, I can't wait to be grown. I can't wait to, get older or whatever. And now that we're this age, you're kind of like, now it's time to kind of slow down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we want to preserve that youthfulness about ourselves. If you think about the world in general, everything's about youth. You see people doing all these different things because they want to appear to be younger. Sometimes you even see people our age carry themselves as being younger. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
For me, especially having a daughter, and a young child, I want to stay up to date. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You have to have that reboot or that update. You know what I mean, so that you can understand, the times, understand these kids. And I think sometimes if you can't relate and if you can't have that update where you understand these kids, you're lost, and
Absolutely.
therefore they don't have the outlet they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great point. Great point. Okay, the last and final question would be, out of these principles being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful, what principle sticks out to you the most and why?
That's a great question. Um, Man, that's tough. Off the top, fearless is kind of sticking out to me, but then also being resilient, sticking out. So it's kind of it's a hard choice. Um, and again, for me, I would say resilient. I'll say resilient, and the reason why I choose that is because life is, it's a race. You know what I mean? And throughout that race, certain things are going to happen.
Yes, sir.
You may get tired here. You may take a left turn on that race. You may take a right turn. You may fall. You may stumble. There's hurdles in the way, during that race, and obstacles that you may have to find a way to maneuver to get over the top of it, to go around it, whatever, to defeat it. And I think that's life in general. No one will go through this life unscathed.
Yes, sir.
No one will go through, and everything is always hunky-dory. Everything's always perfect. And to me, it's how do you respond in tough times?
Yes,
to
sir.
me, that's what reveals your true character. When everything's going your way, it's easy to be happy. When everything's in your favor and you have the upper hand all the time, you can be a certain way. But if things aren't that way, how do you respond to it? And again, in life, you have to be able to respond. You get punched sometimes. Now you're just gonna sit there and take. You're gonna get up. You're gonna fight back. And to me, you can't lay down, man, because life won't stop for you. It won't. There's no rewind button. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity, and we have to make the best of it. But understand that it's important that we better ourselves and we find out what makes us tick and that what helps us to overcome.
Wow. Great point. Great point. And I want to thank you for coming on and making these giving us some excellent information and things that we can live by. I'm going to ask this last question. Being from Alabama and Georgia, who's your team?
I'll say this, obviously, I'm Alabama. That's where I'm from. You know what I mean? But this is what I say to everybody when I tell them I'm originally from Alabama, but I moved to Georgia when I was a sophomore in high school. I always tell them, what I'm saying, Alabama made, but Georgia saved. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Georgia saved my life. It gave me certain opportunities that I never would have had I stayed in Alabama, where I'm from. So I will always show love to where I'm from, Alabama. So I do cheer for them. Now, in regards to Georgia, obviously graduating in Georgia, me feeling like Georgia helped save my life, and then also me playing for Kirby Smart. So the head coach of UGA is like family to me. Coach Smart was my DB coach when I played in college. So he's someone that I consistently, I would say every few months, he and I talk. He's come by my school and he's seen me several times. I've gone to UGA and spent time with him as well. So for me, being that all things equal, I actually have a relationship with Kirby. So my loyalty lies more with him than it does with Coach Saban.
Yes, sir.
So if Alabama and Georgia plays, most times I'm probably leaning towards Georgia because of my relationship.
Great answer. Well, thank you for coming on, and but I know this is going to definitely help a lot of people. So thank you for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. When do y'all play again?
We actually play Parkview this Friday at home. It's actually on TV. It's a TV game on GPB, Georgia Public Broadcasting.
Okay.
So that game televised. Have to overcome. We have to be resilient.
Yes, sir.
We lost last Friday, so we're kind of our wounds a little bit. Guys are kind of feeling sorry for themselves, but you know, again, it's the next day. It's another opportunity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we look forward for another opportunity to be resilient and to show, you know, our true character and what we're made of. But like I say, it's the season, man. You gotta love it.
Appreciate it. You have an excellent day, okay?
Do the same. I really appreciate it, my brother. Thanks for having me on. All right, take care.
You too.